the week. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the weekly Signpost. I'm Dr. Sasheen, your host and the founder and owner of Living and Loving Your Best Soul Path Services. I feel like I'm looking. There we go. This week's forecast is called Making a Different Choice. Before I start that, let me just say Happy Mother's Day to everyone, whether you have children or not. We all have a mom of some kind. So I hope that this day is being spent in a way that is joyful and feels good to everyone. And on that note, let's move forward. I want to just add a small environmental caveat. I had intended to forecast outside today because it's a beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. Sun is shining, the temperatures are moderate. The problem is that we're having 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts. Therefore, everything is blowing around. And so I had this great plan and it all went away and I had to make a different choice. So I'm back upstairs in my office / room where I am broadcasting to you. So forgive the weird lighting and probably the weird shadow play, but the winds are just kicking everything around outside. So making a different choice. What does that mean for this week? Well, it's kind of appropriate that we are talking about different choices and new beginnings because we're in the new moon cycle, the new moon in Taurus. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get towards the end of the forecast today. So making a different choice. Life is made up of a ton of choices that we make. Some are the big choices that revolve around things like work and vocation, health, money, relationships, and those are the choices that we tend to spend a lot of time thinking about, usually the ones that we do some research on and do our homework on before we make them. But really, life is done in the everyday choices. We build the life of our dreams through the everyday choices that we make. And so I want to talk a bit today about what do those choices look like, where do they come from, and how can we change them if the life that we have isn't the life that we want. Forgive me if I glance to the side. I like to have my notes right here, and it helps if I sometimes make sure I'm on track so that I don't ramble. So let's talk about where our choices come from. We are people who are socialized to believe that the status quo is the appropriate thing to happen. So our choices tend to come from a place of not wanting to rock the boat. Especially, we don't want to violate the expectations of people that we care about deeply, people who may have a vested interest in us doing certain things or being a certain way, our bosses. And we also don't want to be ostracized or alienated for choices that go against what people might expect us to do. So when we make everyday choices, and all kinds of choices, we often don't realize that we're making the decision about our life based usually on what other people have told us is important about our life. And as you look at your week and you look around your life, you could probably see places where if you had to make a different choice, if you could make a different choice, you would. But you're afraid that possibly there will be ramifications that you don't want to face or consequences that you weren't expecting. And so you make the same choice over and over again. And that's okay until we get to a place where we just can't anymore, where we are looking for a different direction. And so when that happens, we start realizing that the status quo is great, but the status quo isn't my quo. The status quo isn't what I envision my life to be like, and I want to make some different choices. We start small. We might change our hair color or get a haircut or grow our hair out. We might change a piece of our wardrobe, go from wearing all black to all of a sudden incorporating color. We might go on a diet or not diet anymore. And by virtue of making little changes, the decision to have a green smoothie over pancakes in the morning, and we continue to do that, we begin to make a different choice. And by learning why we make our initial choices, we can figure out how to make a different choice. So I come from a family that likes to settle down and really like to be in one spot. So most of my family lives in one part of the country. I've moved around. As soon as I could get the wind under my feet, I've been a mover. In fact, that little area right there is the plan for my next big move, which is happening in about 60 days. That was a part of my life that I had to buck against the status quo. I was different. And by making those decisions to be a little different and buck the status quo, I live the life that really reflects who I am and what I want to do. And that's what I would like to challenge you this week. What are the places in your life where you feel as though the choices that you make aren't really a reflection of your authentic self, but more so are a reflection of the other people around you, of their expectations, of their wants and needs. And maybe you're not ready to make the big change, but maybe you can make a small choice that starts walking you towards the life that you see in your head instead of the life that is the status quo. All right. Also, this week we pull an oracle card or some kind of card to help us focus our energy and really guide our path or be our signpost as we're standing under it to help us see more clearly. This week's card comes from Earth Magic Oracle Deck by Stephen Farmer. And when I pulled it, guys, I have to say it was, well, here it is. Dawn, new beginnings. I don't think it gets any better than that. We're under a new moon. We're talking about making choices, and then boom, out of the deck comes the new beginning. And as we know, when the dawn hits the horizon, everything just starts to look a little different. Everything begins to get a little brighter, and things that may have been in the shadows become more clear. And I think this is really important this week as we're moving forward through the new moon cycle and the lunar cycle starting, is to think about where are places of illumination, where you are starting to see that things are getting a little clearer on a different choice that you can make to make your life more authentically yours. So thanks for tuning in this week. I will be back next week. If you are interested in my writings, please visit my website, sashinmobley.com. If you would love to get this in your inbox, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate that. Also, if you haven't visited my Facebook page, Sashin Mobley, PhD, come on over and leave me a comment, say hello, and I will be back next week. And always, remember, we're not humans here just doing life. We are souls here having a human experience. So go experience it. Have a great week. Bye.